most chilling tales passed down from generation to generation, a nightmare born from the darkest corners of America. It begins as many terrifying stories do, with a teenage couple parked in the isolation of a lover's lane, the night quiet and peaceful, their only company the stars above. But in the darkness, a sinister figure lurks, a deranged murderer with a hook in place of a hand, stalking the unsuspecting victims from the shadows. It is said that the killer, known only as the Hook or Hookman, escaped from a nearby mental asylum, his mind shattered by years of torment and isolation. He had fashioned a deadly prosthesis for his missing hand, a sharp, glistening hook that could tear through flesh and bone with brutal efficiency. For months, he roamed the surrounding area, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. The teenage couple, lost in their own world, would hear nothing at first, just the soft rustle of trees and the occasional creak of the car. But then, a sound, a scraping, dragging noise that sent chills through their spines. The boy, too preoccupied with the girl, would brush it off as nothing more than the wind. But then came the warning, a frantic radio report about an escaped convict, and then the scream. When the couple finally drove off in a panic, they discovered that their car door had been slashed open, and a blood-streaked hook was left dangling from the handle. In the rearview mirror, they could still see the figure of the hook watching from the trees, his eyes gleaming in the night. To this day, the legend haunts lovers' lanes and secluded roads, reminding us that there are horrors hidden in the dark, waiting just out of sight. And sometimes, when the night is too quiet and the wind too still, you might hear the scrape of metal against metal. Tonight, we venture into the forests of North America to explore the legendary tale of Bigfoot. Relax, unwind, and let this mysterious story of the elusive creature guide you gently into sleep. Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch, is one of the most well-known and enduring legends in North American folklore. Described as an ape-like creature, Bigfoot is said to inhabit the dense forests and remote wilderness areas across the continent, particularly in the Pacific Northwest. Sightings of the elusive creature date back centuries, with Native American tribes sharing stories of a large, hairy being that roamed the forests. The modern legend of Bigfoot gained widespread attention in the mid-20th century when numerous reports of sightings began to surface. Witnesses described the creature as standing anywhere between 6 and 9 feet tall, covered in dark fur with massive footprints, hence the name Bigfoot. It is often depicted as a shy, reclusive being that avoids human contact, yet its occasional sightings and the discovery of large footprints in remote areas have kept the legend alive. The most famous piece of supposed evidence is the 1967 Patterson-Gimlin film, which claims to capture footage of a Bigfoot walking through a forest in California. Though the authenticity of the film has been widely debated, it remains an iconic part of Bigfoot lore. Despite countless expeditions, no concrete scientific proof of Bigfoot's existence has ever been found. Skeptics argue that sightings can be explained by misidentifications of known animals or hoaxes, while believers insist that the creature remains undiscovered due to its remote habitat and elusive nature. Whether real or a product of imagination, Bigfoot continues to captivate people's curiosity. The legend has become ingrained in popular culture, inspiring books, movies, and documentaries. While evidence may be lacking, the mystery of Bigfoot endures, keeping the folklore alive and fueling the imaginations of those who believe that something extraordinary still roams the forests of North America. Tonight, let me guide you into the shadows of ancient Spain, where the chilling legend of the Castilian lisp unfolds. Relax, close your eyes, and let the whispers of history lull you to sleep. In the dark corners of Spain's forgotten history, a chilling tale has lingered for centuries, whispered among locals and passed down from generation to generation. Is the legend of the Castilian lisp, a haunting story that, while discredited by scholars, continues to send shivers down the spines of those who hear it. Long ago, in a time when kings ruled with an iron fist and the boundaries between myth and reality were blurred, there was a king unlike any other. His name has been lost to the shadows of time, but his affliction, an unmistakable lisp, would echo across Spain, leaving a trail of fear and confusion in its wake. The king's speech was strange, almost inhuman, as though something had cursed his very words. His voice carried an eerie sibilance, a sound that cut through the air like the hiss of a snake. The court, terrified of the king's wrath, dared not speak of his speech defect, but whispers of dark magic and ancient curses spread beyond the castle walls, infecting the imagination of the populace. It was said that the king's lisp was no mere quirk of speech, but the result of a sinister pact made with forces beyond this world. Some claimed he had bargained with a demon for power, and in return his tongue was twisted, forcing him to speak in a way that no one else could. Others believed that a vengeful witch had cursed him, condemning his voice to forever sound as though it were tethered to the underworld. As the legend goes, the king was a man of great influence, and no one dared to correct his speech. Instead, out of fear, the courtiers and nobles began to mimic the king's pronunciation. His strange lisp spread like a disease, infecting the tongues of those who sought to curry favour with the crown. Soon, it was said, the entire kingdom spoke as their king did, their voices carrying the cursed sound of the theatre. The streets echoed with the eerie lisp, a constant reminder of the dark secret lurking in Spain's past. Children grew up speaking the language of the damned, unaware of the malevolent forces that had shaped their words. Though historians have debunked this tale as pure fantasy, the legend persists, a chilling reminder of how even the most benign of sounds can carry with them the weight of a curse. The next time you hear the soft hiss of a theatre in Spanish speech, remember the tale of the cursed king and wonder what dark power still lingers behind the sound. James Dean's untimely death in 1955 left an eerie shadow over Hollywood, a legacy of rebellion and tragedy. But it was not just his passing that stirred the imaginations of millions. It was the dark legend surrounding his beloved Porsche 550 Spider, ominously nicknamed Little Bastard. The car, the very machine in which Dean met his end on a lonely California highway, would go on to become infamous in its own right, woven into a web of curses, accidents, and and unexplained events that would haunt anyone who dared come near it. Dean, known for his fascination with speed, had poured his passion into the sleek silver Porsche, a car that felt like an extension of his own persona. Dangerous, alluring, and defiant. Friends warned him about the car, claiming it gave off a sinister aura, but Dean shrugged off their concerns. Some even said they'd had visions of his death behind its wheel. Yet, on September 30th, 1955, as Dean raced down Route 466, Little Bastard met its fate, colliding with another vehicle in a brutal accident that killed him instantly. But while Dean's life ended that day, the story of Little Bastard had only just begun. The wreckage of the car was carted off, twisted and mangled, a ghostly reminder of the tragedy. Yet, for some, the remnants held a dark allure. People began to scavenge parts from the Porsche, hoping to claim a piece of history. But they would soon realise that they had taken more than just a piece of metal. They had inherited a curse. The parts from Dean's Little Bastard seemed to carry with them a thirst for destruction, a dark legacy that brought disaster upon any who dared touch it. The first victim was a mechanic who purchased the car's engine and installed it into his own race car. During his first race with the engine, he lost control, careening off the track and meeting his death in a fiery crash. Another racer, who had taken the transmission from Dean's Porsche, suffered a near-identical fate, his vehicle flipping violently on a seemingly safe track. Both men perished, their deaths eerily mirroring Dean's own tragic end, as if the spirit of Little Bastard demanded more lives. Other parts of the car met equally chilling fates. 2 tyres taken from the Porsche blew out simultaneously, causing the driver's car to swerve off the road and overturn, leaving him gravely injured. Those who witnessed the crash claimed that the tyres had seemed perfectly fine beforehand, as if they'd been sabotaged by an unseen force. Another story tells of a physician who purchased the Porsche's blood-stained seats, hoping to restore them, only to find his home inexplicably caught in a blaze soon after, destroying not only the seats, but his life's belongings. The fire's cause was never determined. The twisted remains of Little Bastard were eventually purchased by car customizer George Barris, who intended to display it as a cautionary symbol. But even as a lifeless display, the Porsche continued its path of destruction. In one instance, it fell off its display stand and crushed a nearby bystander's legs. Another time, it slipped loose from its moorings while being transported and killed a truck driver in a horrific accident. It was as if the car itself resented being confined, lashing out at anyone who dared contain it. The final mystery came in 1960, when Little Bastard was in transit to a museum exhibit. Somewhere along the journey, the cursed wreck simply vanished. No one could account for its disappearance, and to this day, Little Bastard remains lost, its twisted metal and dark history dissolved into thin air. Rumours abound, with some believing the car escaped to fulfill its unholy mission, others saying it was buried to rid the world of its curse, and a few even speculating that it reappears now and then, hidden in a collector's vault, waiting to be unleashed once more. The tale of Little Bastard endures, an urban legend of fear and fascination. For those who hear it, there's an uneasy question. Could a machine be haunted, possessed by the spirit of its past? Welcome to our soothing journey into the mysterious world of urban legends. Tonight, we'll explore the haunting tale of the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall, a story that whispers through the ages, imagination of those fascinated by the supernatural and the unexplained. Rainham Hall, built in the early 18th century, was the ancestral home of the Townshend family. It is a grand estate characterised by its stunning architecture and beautiful grounds, but it also harbours a chilling tale of loss and lingering spirits. The story of the Brown Lady is closely linked to Lady Dorothy Walpole, the sister of the first Prime Minister, Sir Robert Walpole. It is said that she married Charles Townshend, a man known for his volatile temperament. The couple's marriage was fraught with difficulties, leading to tragedy and heartbreak. According to legend, Lady Dorothy fell in love with another man, which enraged her husband. In a fit of jealousy, Townshend confined her to Rainham Hall, where she was said to have lived in isolation for many years. Her suffering took a toll on her health, and it is believed that she eventually died of despair. Some accounts suggest that she was buried in a secret location, leading to speculation about a restless spirit haunting the halls of the estate. The haunting began to capture public attention in the early 20th century when two photographers, including Captain Hubert Provand, visited Rainham Hall in 1936. They were there to capture images of the historic building when they encountered an unexpected sight. As they set up their equipment, a figure appeared before them, a woman in a flowing brown gown, seemingly floating down the staircase. Provand and his colleague quickly snapped a photograph, which would later become one of the most famous ghost images in history. The photograph, known as the Brown Lady of Rainham Hall, shows a spectral figure descending the staircase, shrouded in a mysterious aura. This image sparked widespread fascination and debate, drawing the attention of both skeptics and believers in the paranormal. Many claimed it was a genuine ghostly apparition, while others argued it could be a double exposure or a trick of light. Regardless of the theories surrounding the photograph, it has become an enduring symbol of the paranormal and a centerpiece of ghost lore. The legend of the Brown Lady has continued to evolve over the years, with numerous accounts of sightings and experiences recounted by visitors to Rainham Hall. Some have reported feelings of unease, strange noises, and even glimpses of the ghostly figure in her iconic brown gown. These tales have cemented the Brown Lady's status as one of England's most notorious spirits. Today, Rainham Hall stands as a historic estate that welcomes visitors curious about its intriguing past. Ghost tours and paranormal investigations often highlight the story of the Brown Lady, allowing guests to delve into the haunting narrative that lingers in the air. Tonight, we journey to Iowa City, where the eerie legend of the Black Angel awaits. Let the mysterious tale of this cursed statue guide you into a peaceful and restful sleep. The Black Angel is a haunting urban legend centered around a statue in Oakland Cemetery, Iowa City. The statue, standing over 8 feet tall, was erected in 1912 to mark the grave of Teresa Feldovert, a woman of Czech descent. Over time, the statue gained a sinister reputation, and many locals began to believe it was cursed. The Black Angel originally had a bright bronze colour, but as the years passed, it darkened to a deep black, which fueled the legend's eerie narrative. Some say the change in colour represents the anger or grief of Teresa's spirit. Others believe the blackened statue is an omen of death, with various warnings attached to it. One popular belief is that anyone who touches or kisses the statue will be met with an untimely death. Another variation claims that those who look directly into the angel's eyes at midnight will be cursed. The statue's mysterious appearance, combined with its dark colour and imposing presence, has made popular site for paranormal enthusiasts and thrill seekers. Many visit the cemetery to test the legend, while others keep their distance, unwilling to risk the supposed curse. Though the Black Angel story is rooted in local folklore, the real cause of the statue's discoloration is simply weathering and oxidation of the bronze. Despite this, the legend remains a captivating part of Iowa City's history, continuing to intrigue and frighten those who hear it. Whether cursed or not, the Black Angel stands as a reminder of how myths can grow around even the most ordinary objects. Let's unwind with a chilling tale. The choking Doberman, a mysterious intruder, a loyal pet, and a terrifying discovery will take you into the shadows. Relax and let the story begin. On a cold, dark night, a woman returned home after a long day. Her house was eerily silent, except for the faint sound of her Doberman whimpering. Startled, she rushed to find him slumped on the living room floor, struggling for air. The dog's body convulsed as it tried to cough up whatever was lodged in its throat. Panicked, the woman knelt beside her beloved pet, trying to comfort him. His choking worsened, and she knew she had to act fast. Without hesitation, she scooped up the Doberman and sped to the nearest vet clinic, her heart pounding as her dog gasped for air in the back seat. Every passing moment felt like an eternity. When they arrived, the vet wasted no time. They sedated the dog and began to investigate the source of the obstruction. What they found made the vet's face go pale. He slowly pulled out a severed human finger from the Doberman's throat. The woman stood frozen in shock as the vet explained what had caused her dog's distress. A chilling sense of dread crept over her. Whose finger was it? The vet urged her to call the police immediately. Shaking, she dialed 911 and told the dispatcher what had happened. The operator's voice, initially calm, quickly grew tense. "Get out of the house, Mom. Now." Confused and terrified, the woman grabbed her keys and ran outside, just as the police arrived. They searched the house, checking every room, every shadowy corner. In the master bedroom, they found him. A man hiding under the bed, bleeding profusely from his hand. His face twisted in agony, and his eyes were wide with panic. The police quickly apprehended him. It became clear that the intruder had broken into the house while the woman was away, but her Doberman had caught him in the act, biting off his finger as he fought back. The woman stood outside, staring at the house that had once felt like a sanctuary. The image of her brave dog choking on that grotesque finger replayed in her mind. Her blood running cold. What if the dog hadn't intervened? What if she had come home earlier? Those questions lingered, gnawing at her sanity, long after the intruder was taken away. The dog, her loyal protector, had saved her life, but at a horrifying cost. Tonight's story takes us to the mysterious legend of the Bunny Man, a figure lurking in the shadows with an axe in hand. Close your eyes, relax, and let this eerie tale drift you to sleep. The Bunny Man is an eerie urban legend that took root in Fairfax County, Virginia in 1970 and has since spread across across the Washington, D.C. area. The story has been retold in many forms, but the core of the legend centres around a mysterious figure dressed in a rabbit costume, referred to as the Bunny Man, who reportedly terrorises people with an axe. The legend is said to have originated from two strange incidents. The first took place in October 1970, when a young couple parked their car near a secluded area to talk. Suddenly, a man in a bunny suit appeared out of nowhere, wielding an axe. He angrily yelled at them about trespassing on his property before smashing the car window with the axe. Fortunately, the couple was able to drive away unharmed, but the encounter left them shaken. The second incident occurred just 10 days later. A security guard noticed a man dressed in a similar rabbit costume standing on the porch of a newly built home. The Bunny Man allegedly began hacking away at the structure with an axe, yelling that the house was built on his land. By the time authorities arrived, the Bunny Man had vanished, leaving behind a scene of destruction and confusion. From these two reports, the legend of the Bunny Man grew, and with it, many variations began to emerge. Some versions of the tale claim that the Bunny Man is the ghost of an escaped mental patient who had a psychotic break and now haunts the area, seeking revenge on anyone who crosses his path. Others suggest that the Bunny Man is still alive, lurking in the woods of Virginia, waiting for the next unsuspecting victim. The most notorious version of the legend involves the Bunny Man Bridge, a secluded railway overpass near Clifton, Virginia. According to some, this bridge is where the Bunny Man is most likely to appear, especially on Halloween night. Witnesses have claimed to hear strange noises or even see the shadowy figure of the Bunny Man wielding his infamous axe. While there is no solid evidence to prove the existence of the Bunny Man, the legend has persisted for decades, fueling local folklore and unsettling the imaginations of those who dare to explore the areas where the Bunny Man is said to roam. We journey into the misty woods of Bradley, where the sorrowful spirit of the Black Lady roams. Let her quiet footsteps guide you into a peaceful, restful sleep. The Black Lady of Bradley Woods is a haunting figure from English folklore, said to roam the dark and mysterious woods near the village of Bradley in Lincolnshire. This spectral presence has been a part of local legend for centuries, with many claiming to have caught glimpses of her wandering the woods, shrouded in sorrow and silence. Described as a tall, slender woman, dressed entirely in black, the Black Lady is most often seen wearing a long, flowing cloak with a hood that covers her face. Her appearances are always marked by an overwhelming sense of sadness and grief, as if she is forever searching for something or someone lost. Her skin is pale, and her eyes, when visible, are filled with an eternal sorrow that seems to pierce through those who encounter her. According to the most well-known version of the legend, the Black Lady was once a young woman during the medieval period who lived happily with her husband, a soldier, and their newborn child in a cottage near the woods. However, her peaceful life was shattered when her husband was called away to fight in the wars. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, but he never returned. Then, one tragic night, a group of soldiers reportedly attacked the village, killing many and abducting the young woman's child. Devastated by the loss of her family, the young mother wandered the woods, searching endlessly for her child, until her grief consumed her, and she eventually perished. Locals claim that the Black Lady appears most often on misty evenings, her figure emerging from the shadows of the trees. Some say she will ask passers-by if they have seen her child, while others report that she simply stares, lost in her grief, before vanishing back into the darkness. Over the years, the legend of the Black Lady has served as a cautionary tale for children, warning them to stay away from the woods after dark. While many are sceptical, there are still those who believe in her presence, and stories of sightings continue to circulate. Whether real or imagined, the Black Lady of Bradley Woods remains a symbol of deep sorrow and eternal longing. Her tragic story lingers in the minds of those who hear it, casting a shadow of mystery and sadness over the quiet village of Bradley. On the windswept shores of Cape Henlopen State Park, where the Atlantic whispers ancient secrets to the rugged cliffs, there prowls an eerie phenomenon known as the corpse light. To the untrained eye, it might appear a beacon of safety, a lighthouse guiding weary travellers home. But to those familiar with its cursed history, it is a harbinger of doom, a deceptive glow that leads only to despair and death. The legend of the corpse light began in the fog-laden nights of the 18th century, a time when smugglers and pirates frequented these waters, weaving through the treacherous shoals and hidden reefs. It is said that one fateful night, a band of smugglers, heavy with illicit cargo, spied a light gleaming through the dense fog. Believing it to be the lighthouse, they steered their vessel towards it, hearts light with relief. But as they drew closer, the light mysteriously vanished, leaving them to the merciless embrace of the rocks. The ship was shattered, swallowed by the hungry sea, and all hands were lost to the depths. From that night on, the corpse light appeared sporadically, always to unsuspecting sailors, its ghostly glow a false promise of safety. Tales spread of a spectral lantern held aloft by a shadowy figure clad in the tattered remnants of colonial garb, doomed to forever reenact his treachery. Some whispered that he was the spirit of a lighthouse keeper who had conspired with pirates, others that he was a wronged sailor, seeking vengeance against those who sailed these cursed waters. Local folklore insists that to see the corpse light is an omen of impending disaster. Fishermen refuse to set sail if the light is seen, and sailors mutter prayers when passing the cape after dusk. It is not just the beacon that terrifies them, but the sudden cold that seeps into the bones at its sighting, and the inexplicable malaise that descends upon the beholder. On stormy nights, when the thunder rolls and lightning illumines meets the sea. The corpse light dances across the waves, elusive and taunting. Some brave souls have tried to follow it, to uncover its origins or end its spectral wanderings. Yet none have succeeded, and many have not returned, their fates whispered in hushed tones in the local taverns. The corpse light remains one of the most chilling legends of Cape Henlopen, a reminder of the sea's dark power to enchant and ensnare. It continues to haunt the coastline, a phantom lighthouse that guides not to safe harbour, but to a watery grave, its mournful light a testament to the souls it has claimed. In the dark, frozen winter of February 1855, the people of East and South Devon awoke to a scene that would haunt them for years. As dawn broke, a trail of strange, unearthly footprints marred the fresh snow, weaving through the landscape with an unnatural precision. These prints, soon to be called the Devil's Footprints, left a mark of terror and mystery across Devon, as villagers whispered tales of the devil himself stalking their lands. The footprints were unlike anything seen before. They stretched in a single line, each print spaced with eerie regularity, each one an unmistakable hoof shape, cloven and pointed, as if made by a creature far from this world. Stranger still, the prints were measured precisely 8 inches apart, suggesting a creature that moved with unerring speed and purpose. They crossed through fields, over rivers, and even appeared on rooftops, ignoring natural obstacles as if they were nothing. No walls, hedges, or even snow-covered thatched roofs hindered the path of these prints. It was as though something had passed through Devon, defying the laws of nature and mocking human understanding. The villagers were gripped by fear. Some claimed it was a demon, or perhaps even Satan himself, paying a visit to remind them of his presence. Priests were called to bless homes, while locals huddled around fires, hoping that warmth and prayer might keep the dark force at bay. Those who dared to follow the footprints were led through twisted paths, only to find themselves back where they started, as if the creature had moved in circles, toying with its pursuers. Sightings of strange, shadowy figures spread rapidly. A farmer reported hearing faint, mocking laughter as he walked alone through the woods one night, his eyes catching a fleeting glimpse of a dark form in the trees. Another villager swore that she saw a pair of glowing red eyes watching from her window, disappearing only when she crossed herself and muttered a prayer. Tales like these fueled the belief that the devil's footprints were not just a physical presence, but a sign of something deeply sinister lurking just beyond sight. The phenomenon lasted for a single, harrowing night, the footprints stretching for miles before they abruptly vanished as mysteriously as they had appeared. In the days that followed, the snow melted and the tracks faded into legend, yet the fear remained. People spoke of it in hushed tones, glancing over their shoulders, as if expecting the devil to return, his footprints renewed in fresh snow. To this day, no one has explained the devil's footprints. Were they a prank, a trick of nature, or something far darker, a message from the underworld itself? The villagers of Devon may never know, but one thing is certain. On cold, moonlit nights, when the winter's silence deepens, in the eerie world of haunted relics, few objects instill as much dread as the Dybbuk box, a small, unassuming wine cabinet steeped in sinister legend. Originating from Jewish folklore, a Dybbuk is a restless, malicious spirit believed to cling to objects or people, feeding off their misery and fear. The Dybbuk box is said to contain just such a spirit, bound within its wooden walls, waiting for the next unfortunate soul to open it. The box first gained infamy when when it surfaced in an online auction, accompanied by the chilling story of its previous owner, who claimed his life was plagued with misfortunes and nightmarish experiences after acquiring it. According to the tale, the box was originally bought by a young man at an estate sale. When he opened it, he found strange items inside: locks of hair, a small goblet, a candlestick, and engraved Hebrew inscriptions. But it wasn't the items inside that terrified him. It was what followed. From the moment the box entered his home, strange occurrences began. Foul odours of decaying flowers and ammonia filled the air. Shadowy figures appeared in his periphery, and the eerie sound of faint whispers echoed through the night. Soon he began having violent, unexplainable nightmares of an old, hateful woman lurking at the edge of his bed, her eyes burning with malice. Each morning he woke up feeling drained, as if the spirit had sapped his very life force. The Dybbuk box changed hands many times, with each new owner reporting the same ominous symptoms: unrelenting nightmares, accidents, and a pervasive, sickening dread. One owner even suffered a sudden stroke shortly after acquiring it, convinced that the spirit trapped within the box had cursed him. Eventually, the Dybbuk box was sealed away, kept hidden from curious eyes, locked behind glass to prevent anyone from releasing the evil within. It has since become a relic of fear, a cursed object housed with great caution. Paranormal researchers who dare to approach it claim to feel an intense pressure, as if the air around it is vibrating with a dark, pulsating energy, ready to burst forth at the slightest touch. Today, the Dybbuk box stands as a chilling reminder of forces beyond our understanding. Many believe that the box should remain sealed, for to open it is to invite disaster. The warnings are clear. Disturb the Dybbuk box, and you may awaken something ancient, vengeful, and impossible to escape. A spirit that seeks not just to haunt, but to possess and torment anyone who crosses its path. In South Korea, a strange and unsettling legend has persisted for nearly a century, a chilling warning whispered among families on hot summer nights. Beware of sleeping with a fan running in a closed room, or it may claim your life. Known as fan death, this belief insists that an electric fan left on overnight in a windowless room holds the power to kill, suffocating the sleeper in their bed. The origins of fan death stretch back to the 1920s and 1930s, an era of modernisation and new technology when the electric fan first arrived in Korea. Stories began to spread of people found dead in their rooms, the only constant a fan whirring beside them. The legend took on a life of its own, with families firmly convinced that a fan could drain the oxygen from a room, causing asphyxiation or lower body temperature to fatal levels. It became a superstition rooted in fear, and warnings echoed from generation to generation. Never sleep with the fan on, and always leave a window open. To this day, the fear remains ingrained in Korean households. In July 2011, the Korea Herald reported that a 59-year-old man had died mysteriously, with a fan aimed directly at him in his sealed room. It was as if the fan, silent and unseen, had become an executioner, waiting patiently for its victim. Some believe the fan spins like a sinister reaper in the dark, sapping the life from those who sleep too deeply under its cold breeze. Many scientists have dismissed the legend, but the fear lingers, and tales continue to circulate of those who ignore the warning, only to fall victim to the fan's deadly hum. The myth of fan death endures, a strange yet terrifying belief that leaves many cautious even today. Perhaps it's not merely a tale of superstition, but but a reminder that some forces, once unleashed, carry a chilling weight that no science or reason can dispel. In the chilling lore of baseball history, there is one story whispered among fans that never loses its grip: the curse of the Bambino. The legend began in 1919 when the Boston Red Sox, champions of the World Series, made a grave mistake that would doom them for nearly a century. Seeking funds, the team's owner, Harry Frazee, sold their star player, Babe Ruth, to their bitter rivals, the New York Yankees. Known as the Bambino, Ruth was not only Boston's greatest asset, but a force that seemed blessed, touched by an otherworldly power. But this sale was no ordinary transaction. It was a betrayal, an offence to the very spirit of victory. Soon after, Boston's golden age faded. For the next 86 years, as Babe Ruth's star rose with the Yankees, the Red Sox were plagued with failure after failure, each season bringing cruel heartbreak. Fans began to believe they were cursed, haunted by Ruth's ghost, vengeful and unrelenting. They whispered that he had cursed the team, binding them to an endless cycle of defeat, an eternal punishment for the betrayal. The curse of the Bambino was born, and the city felt the shadow of dread every time their team reached the brink of victory, only to be torn down as if by some unseen, malicious hand. Terrifyingly, the curse seemed to manifest in bizarre ways. Balls veered off course at the last second. Players fumbled as if gripped by an invisible force. Even the stadium lights flickered ominously during critical moments. Fans watched with growing unease, knowing something dark loomed over their team. Game after game, year after year, hope turned to horror, then despair, as Boston's beloved team fell to seemingly supernatural misfortune. But in 2004, the impossible happened. The Red Sox, against all odds, won the World Series, breaking the curse. The city rejoiced, yet some fans remained haunted. They wondered, did they truly break the curse, or merely awaken it? Deep within Utah's Escalante petrified forest, legends warn of a curse that brings misfortune upon those who dare to disturb its ancient relics. For countless years, this eerie forest has stood still, haunted by trees turned to stone, their wood transformed into glistening shards over millennia. Tourists marvel at the colours and textures, but there's a rule among locals: never take a piece of the forest home. The curse, they say, is vengeful and patient. resist, pocketing a fragment of petrified wood, believing they'd taken only a small, harmless memento. But the forest doesn't forgive theft. Those who take from Escalante soon find themselves ensnared in a web of relentless misfortune. One man, who once laughed off the legend, lost his job within a week. His family fell into financial ruin, and he became consumed by regret, unable to escape the shadow of his actions. Others have faced accidents so sudden and strange they could only be explained by the curse. A woman who took a single stone reported a horrifying series of events. Her car veered off the road on her way home, narrowly escaping a fatal crash. Her health began to fail inexplicably, her body growing weaker as if drained by an unseen force. Her nights became plagued with nightmares of twisted, ghostly trees, watching her with hollow, accusing eyes. Desperate to break the curse, people mail pieces of petrified wood back to the park, hoping for mercy. Rangers at Escalante receive hundreds of packages each year, filled with stones and pleas for forgiveness. Letters pour in, recounting stories of illness, financial collapse, and near-death experiences. The packages lie unopened, scattered as grim reminders that the forest does not forget. So, the legend endures, a chilling warning to those who visit. Leave the forest as you found it, or face its wrath. The petrified trees of Escalante may seem still and silent, but they guard their secrets jealously. Those who steal from them awaken a curse, one that clings to their lives, unrelenting until the debt is paid, or until they are no more. Tonight, we journey to Iowa City, where the eerie legend of the Black Angel awaits. Let the mysterious tale of this cursed statue guide you into a peaceful and restful sleep. Black Annis, also known as Black Agnes or Black Anna, is a chilling figure in English folklore, described as a terrifying hag with a blue face, sharp iron claws, and a fierce hunger for human flesh. She lurks in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. According to the legend, Black Annis once lived in a cave in the Dane Hills near Leicester, which she is said to have carved out herself using only her iron claws. The entrance of her cave was surrounded by a large oak tree, from which she would emerge to hunt her prey. Her most infamous targets were children and young animals. The legend says that Black Annis would creep into the nearby villages under the cover of nightfall, dragging children back to her cave to devour them. She would skin her victims and hang their hides on the branches of her oak tree, using them to make clothing for herself during the harsh winters. Parents in the area used the tale of Black Annis as a way to scare their children into behaving or staying indoors after dark. The mere mention of her name would be enough to keep children obedient and fearful of wandering too far from home. Some versions of the legend claim that Black Annis could stretch her long arms through windows to snatch disobedient children from their beds if they didn't close their shutters at night. Despite her terrifying reputation, Black Annis also played a role in explaining natural phenomena. Her dark cave, according to local law, was believed to be an old burial site or a den she carved in the hillside. Some believed that her presence symbolised the harshness of nature, particularly the long, unforgiving winters that plagued the countryside. Her spirit still haunts the area, while others believe she was merely a cautionary figure created to instill fear in children and protect them from the dangers of the wilderness. Today, Black Annis remains a symbol of fear and darkness in English folklore. Her legacy lives on as one of the most terrifying urban legends, reminding people of the thin line between the safety of home and the lurking dangers of the outside world. Tonight, we take a quiet journey into the eerie legend of the Chupacabra. Let the mystery of the goat sucker guide you into a peaceful slumber as we unravel this chilling tale. In the remote, shadowed corners of the Americas, whispers carry a name: the Chupacabra. Born from terror and blood, this cryptid first slithered into legend on the stormy nights of Puerto Rico. Farmers would wake to a nightmare: their once lively goats drained of life, eyes glassy, throats pierced by two perfect holes. The blood was gone, as if sucked dry by some unholy predator. They say the name, Chupacabra, stems from its insidious habits. Chupa, meaning to suck, and cabra, meaning goat. And so it was called the goat sucker, a beast with an insatiable thirst for blood. As dawn broke and bodies of livestock lay scattered, many wondered what kind of creature could commit such carnage. Described as reptilian or dog-like, the Chupacabra is said to move with an unnatural grace, its skin scaly, cold to the touch, with glowing red eyes that burn through the night like molten embers. It creeps silently through the fields, avoiding human eyes, until it strikes, leaving nothing but empty carcasses and fear in its wake. Reports of its presence spread beyond Puerto Rico, with sightings in Mexico, South America, and even the southern United States. In each case, the telltale signs were the same: drained livestock, puncture wounds, and an eerie, lingering silence that chilled the blood of those left behind. Some claimed to see it with their own eyes, a monstrous figure crouching low to the ground, waiting for the moment to pounce. Its movements were quick, almost too fast to follow, vanishing into the darkness as quickly as it appeared. Legends tell that the Chupacabra was a cursed experiment gone wrong, a mutated creature that escaped from the depths of a secret lab, its body forever twisted into something both alien and grotesque. Others believe it is something far older, a demonic force that has existed for centuries, waiting for the right moment to return and feast upon the world. To this day, people fear the shadow of the Chupacabra, dreading the eerie silence that falls over their farms at night. They lock their doors and guard their animals, praying that they will not be the next victims of the creature that stalks in the dark, thirsting for blood. As long as the Chupacabra remains a mystery, it will continue to haunt the imagination of those who dare to walk the lonely roads, wondering if tonight will be the night they hear the hiss of the goat sucker closing in. In the shadow-laden landscape of American folklore, few tales evoke the chill of the Crybaby Bridge. Across the United States, numerous bridges bear this macabre nickname, each story rooted in a haunting event so sorrowful that the echoes seem to transcend time itself. These structures, often decrepit and isolated, are united by the eerie phenomenon of phantom infant wails that pierce the stillness of the night. One such bridge looms on the outskirts of a small, weathered town, cloaked in the thick mists that rise from the river below. Local Legend has it that many decades ago, a young mother, driven by despair and madness, threw her newborn child from the bridge into the icy waters beneath. They say she was consumed by grief and torment over her deed, and that her wails mingled with those of her child in a symphony of anguish. Overcome by remorse, she leapt to her own death, hoping in vain to join her child in the depths. Since that fateful night, those who dare to walk the bridge after dark report hearing the harrowing sounds of a baby's cries, so real and so close that they turn in desperation, searching for the child they can never find. Some also hear the ghostly lament of the mother, a mournful wail that drifts across the river and settles like a cold shroud upon the hearts of the listeners. The Crybaby Bridge has become a rite of passage for the local youth, a test of courage or foolhardiness. Teenagers gather in hushed groups, their voices low, as they dare one another to cross the bridge at midnight. Armed only with flashlights that cast long, ominous shadows, they step onto the creaking wood, each plank groaning under the weight of the grim history it bears. As they reach the centre, where the river runs darkest, the cries begin. At first, a soft whimpering, it soon swells into a crescendo of screams, so visceral that many flee in terror, swearing never to return. Others speak of seeing a spectral figure of a woman, her gown flowing and pale in the moonlight, her arms reaching out for the child she will never hold again. Cameras and phones, intended to capture proof, inexplicably fail, leaving only the memories of those haunted by what they have experienced. The Crybaby Bridge serves as a stark reminder of the past's grip on the present, its story passed down through generations as a chilling